Okay, welcome guys. Meeting Aphrodite. One thing that I really want to differentiate my content from is that I really like to go deep. I've been working with Aphrodite for the last 10 years. Um, I say that, it's actually kind of blurry, but I say that. um, it all started, and I have a podcast episode about this, but I really feel like I have been a child of Aphrodite, is what I call myself, since I was born. I was born with this perpetual like feeling of being unloved and unwanted, because my mom actually told me when I was born that my mom told me when I was about 5 years old that she did not want me. They had five children. They were ready to wrap it up, tie the tubes. Um, but right before she has her surgery to get her tubes tied, she finds out that she's pregnant, and it's with me. And throughout my life, and we'll get into this and I'll apply it to your life, and we'll have these experiences and we'll really get into the juice of it. Um, a pervasive wound in my life is feeling unwanted, unloved, not beautiful. And it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what my parents got me for Christmas, or what my boyfriend said, or what presents people bought me, or what my hair looked like that day. That feeling of unbeautiful, unwanted has been a massive wound in my life. But the wild thing is that even when I'd have a really bad day at school and I would feel like enough was enough and I am just ugly and nobody is ever going to love me, you have these temper tantrums, these moments where you're like, I'm going to write off myself forever and give up on trying to be beautiful, trying to be wanted, trying to be loved. I want to just like surrender to having a crappy life. I would, throughout as long as I can remember, look over at the mirror and see a reflection of myself, even at like, I remember being 6 years old and looking at myself in the mirror and feeling like, are you kidding me? You are beautiful. Like, stand up, go outside, go play. Like, that was just such a theme, and it would get louder and louder as I got older. Um, and that, in retrospect, I know was the work of Aphrodite. That is the work, that is the whisper of Aphrodite. And we'll get a little bit more into like, how do you know if it's her voice? How do you know and how can you use that voice to your advantage? Because I believe all of us have that accessible to us. I just know that a lot of the experiences that I have had have been for my purpose. Like, if I were to tell my mom, like, you should have parented me differently and made me feel more loved, like, that would have not set me up for my purpose of teaching you here today. So the benefits, I'm sure as you already know, of working with Aphrodite is cultivating love and beauty. And I use the word cultivating very specifically. It is, I love like catching myself on how our society tends to think of like beauty and love as like set it and forget it, like a crock pot. Like, you put a bunch of shit in the crock pot, you put the lid on, set it and forget it, you're done. Like, you're beautiful and you can just ride on that for the rest of your life until you turn 35, and then you're unlovable and beautiful and ugly, according to our society. And this, everything I'm teaching is going to be like against a lot of the programming that you've believed. And that is the work of Aphrodite. That is why we call on deities. And I'm getting ahead of myself on so many things, but maybe I'll be a broken record here and say, like, we need deities to be at our highest fulfillment. It doesn't have to be Aphrodite. It doesn't have to be Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. It doesn't have to be, God. It doesn't have to be Loki or Hades or like other deities that I see people talking about. But we need this work. We need this work to achieve our highest fulfillment. I firmly believe that, and we'll get into it. Enhancing relationships, big time, big time. Like, I think that humans have a very, very specific power in pairs. Not that you need a man or you need whatever, but the intimacy is being lost over time. If you've ever been ghosted in a relationship or done the ghosting, I've done a lot of ghosting myself, and I've also been ghosted a lot in like work relationships, love relationships, friendship relationships. There's a lack of intimacy there. Like, why would it be easier to ghost somebody than to tell them how you really feel? And it really does come down to a lack of intimacy. And intimacy, like, not like that closeness with another person, that in that pair, is the glue that is going to bring your life together to make this like beautiful picture. If you were to close your eyes and envision your dream life, which I'm sure all of you have done at some point, like, I'm going to manifest a mansion and a jet plane, or a partner. I'm going to manifest a new car. I'm going to manifest a job. When you envision your biggest goal, the biggest mistake that I kept making, and the thing that Aphrodite kept reminding me of this is like, you cannot do that alone. Like, don't even try to do this alone. It's the partnerships. It's like the one-on-one that builds a community. Boy, oh boy, fostering creativity. So Aphrodite is the goddess of fertility. And I have a story that I'll share a little bit later about my pregnancy and how I had a really hard time getting pregnant. But pregnancy is a strong analogy, like pregnancy with a child is a very strong analogy for creative projects. I used to do a lot of coaching creativity. If you followed me back in like 2020, I did a lot of coaching around finding your muse. And I was really obsessed with the book, The War of Art. Like, I was really into helping people find their muse. And it just felt like what I was getting at with that work was this. Like, this to me is like the purest essence of what I offer and who I am. Whereas everything else kind of feels like a layer separate from that. Like coaching creativity, really, we got to start with Aphrodite, in my humble opinion. But not everybody wants to work with deities, and it's like coaching creativity is kind of like a layer outside of that, if that makes sense. Promoting sexual health, big one. I mean, big one. Like, I want to say it as like, because there's also like the sexual trauma and the past and all the things that we bring with us. When I say sexual health, I mean rewriting a sexual identity, rewriting the identity for yourself outside of a limited scope. I have worked with clients who have worked with Aphrodite who have found themselves being very interested in like different genders, polyamory, all these things. And their constant work, like the iron rod that Aphrodite has provided them, is like your values. Like, you value intimacy, you value honesty. It's not like, I think I'll try polyamory today. It's like, actually, how can I open myself up and expand my values while being grounded in my health and the health of my community? I've done a lot of research on also other people who experimented in their romantic lives with Aphrodite worship, being within those values. And it just feels like they feel like their sexuality is now a playground rather than like a thing that we learned about in the movies and in pornography that we now have to like try and replicate as much as possible. That's the way that I see it now. It's just like, it's a playground. It's an identity that you get to rewrite. Bringing balance. Aphrodite is Venus rules the sign Libra, which is all about peace. And then the sister sign to Libra is Aries. So it's peace and war, which we'll get into, of course. Okay, just a little bit about me and a little bit about my background and what I'm bringing here. I was born into a Mormon traditional family. Everything that I'm teaching you now is blasphemy. I mean, well, it's blasphemy what it felt like growing up, like being Mormon, being told that there is one God and thou shalt not put other gods before me. Mormonism specifically is a very, 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 I almost feel like it's like the corporate of religions is the way that I've talked about it. Like, there are rules and there are regulations and there are hierarchies. I mean, they all are kind of like that, but that one to me felt like I just was sitting on guilt forever, for a really long time. I remember being 16 years old when I was really starting to work with Aphrodite a little bit more. I have the whole story about it is on a podcast. The story essentially was like, I was asked last minute to fill in a role for somebody else in a play, and she was playing Aphrodite, and I was like, I don't have any charisma, like, oh, what? But in that time in my life, it's no coincidence that around the time in life is when I started to say, like, maybe Mormonism isn't for me. And the Mormon Church believes that if you are taught Mormonism and you abandon it, that's like a one-way ticket to hell. Like, you will not be with your family in eternal life if you do not do this. So essentially what I was saying was like, I'm going to live this life, and I'm going to take the risk of like not seeing my family in the afterlife, was like what essentially the decision I was making. And I now don't believe that. Of course, I don't believe that I'm never going to see my family again in the eternal life. That's not something I believe. I was born a bonus baby. I already mentioned that to you guys. My mom did tell me early on that you were my bonus baby. And I believe that feeling just carried on throughout my life. I have a lot of youngest sibling energy, meaning like I have felt in social situations like I need a lot of permission to be there. Like, please, do you swear you guys like me? Do you promise you guys like me? Like, that is one of my biggest burdens. It's like one of my biggest traumas. And one of the most persistent problems I faced in my life that I've found a ton of healing in this work specifically is mean girl trauma, like bully trauma. And like, of course I've had other problems in my life. We all have, but I think the demon in my head that I'm consistently battling with this work, and I've found massive success, I take tons of risks that I would have not had otherwise, is boils down to like high school girl trauma. So if you resonate with that, um, and it doesn't also just have to be like a high school girl, but like if you resonate with feeling like, why are you picking on me? I'm literally just a girl. Like I'm just doing my best. This work is transformative. And that is why I feel so strongly about teaching it rather than keeping it like my own little sexy secret and not helping people with it. Excuse me. Um, yeah, so some of my biggest lessons have been through romantic partners, love, beauty, fertility, and war. Like those four things are like the juice, the meat, like everything that I have to teach come down to those four words. Yeah, even as a young child, I would hear whispers that I was beautiful and worthy of love. Even when I was 2020, I got a job. Don't ask me why. I got a job at a tanning salon in Las Vegas, like during 2020, like super masked up time before the vaccine, like very chaotic time. And I decided to like fuck around and get a job at this tanning salon. And I remember my manager was such a bully. Like she would just say mean things to me for no reason. And I wouldn't say anything because I'm like, you're my manager. All I asked you was where the mop was, and you're just being mean to me for no reason. And I just kind of like swallowed it and internalized it because like that's what you do when you're an adult, is like you just kind of take it. And that's also what I did when I was a teenager. Um, that I swallowed it and took it, and I went and I passed by the mirror once to like go clean something, and I felt very like massively this feeling of, they're jealous of you because look at your legs, girl. Oh my God. Like, look at that face. Like, are you kidding me? Like, just that voice. When I didn't invite that in. Like, I mean, I did, but I didn't consciously go and say my affirmations into my brain. Like, I have amazing legs. What the fuck are they talking about? Like, I felt that. And that is the energy of Aphrodite, among many other things. It can look like so many other things, but that's just like, you don't have to consciously, do your affirmations like I'm doing my EFT tapping. Like you don't have to make your brain go sit down and do them. And this is what I want for you. And this is what can just happen. So it's just like a little twist of the dial. This is like yours. Um, I have helped many private clients with Aphrodite through their bodies. We'll get into the body part soon, but it's like, it's not a mental like, I mean, it can be, but like it depends on how you like to process. But I believe Aphrodite rules the sacral chakra, which is like in your body, like it's in there, it's below your belly button. Really quick, brief. I mean, I've been talking about myself for a long time. We'll get into the meat of it. Specific healing moments in my life that have changed the trajectory that I believe Aphrodite had a very strong moment in. And all of these photos, you've seen so many photos of me now. Have been like a healing point. So I had really poor health in 2019. My hair fell out. 2020, oh my gosh, my thyroid was just all over the place. I saw lots of doctors about it, and I had a really hard time getting pregnant. Through work with Aphrodite and everything that I'm teaching you here, I was able to finally get pregnant. And throughout my pregnancy, there were just so many signs that like I was guided. And I also throughout my pregnancy was really set. Well, actually, I wasn't set. I was guided by her to have a natural pregnancy. I didn't want choose one. Like I didn't think that that was going to be me, but like no epidural in the tub, those vibes, because I believe that she asked me to, because through that journey, there's a lot of healing that needed to be done. So it's not that she thinks that, those are the best ways to give birth all the time. And she wants all of her, devotees to give birth in a tub. It was like, for you specifically, this journey is going to teach you so much. And it's the room that my son was born in was mermaid themed. And to me, that was just like so synchronistic of like, okay, nice, here we are. Bullied as a teenager, struggled to love myself. That day specifically, I'm actually 17 years old in that picture. That day specifically, I remember I like painted my face because I was like, fuck it, like I'm an art hoe. Like I'm so tired of living within my shell. Like I need to just like do something crazy. And around that time also was when I found Aphrodite and started like using art to express myself, to express herself through me. And then in this last picture, lack confidence and never took action. That is my mom's office room. She wasn't home, but I was like, I really want a boudoir shoot because I want to feel sexy. And I just kept feeling like, oh, I can't afford a photographer. I can't afford a photographer. And one day in my head, I felt her voice just be like, fuck it, like do it yourself. So I took that with an iPhone. Like it's dusty, like the floor was dirty. But I feel really proud of that. The fact that I was just like, fuck it. Like, and those are some of my favorite pictures of myself because I just went for it. Also, I have not been checking the chat, so I don't know if anybody's been chatting. Um, feel free to ever unmute yourself. If you're like, hold up, girl, feel free to just like hop in. Let me move this. Okay, so before we, man, I really feel like we're doing good here. The elephant in the room, for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me and a couple of other like very logic conditioned people, like if you were really into science or had very like, if your parents were really into like proof and I need proof that everything exists, and if there's ever this like cognitive dissonance with everything that I'm going ahead, and this is very natural, logic conditioning, feeling crazy, or feeling like this is just all made up and it's whatever. This is the way that I see it because this is something that I have struggled with for a long time. So when I say I talked to Aphrodite or Aphrodite told me or whatever, I have to check like my inner mean girl, my inner like demons that say like, who, where is she? Like she's not as real as like this table. She's not like your mom coming in and telling you something. Fortunately, I have been very grateful to meet a lot of people in the last few years who are like me, and understand what I mean when I say like Aphrodite told me to have a water birth. And they're like, I get that. Aphrodite told me to go on this date. Aphrodite told me to not go on this date. Aphrodite told me to sell pictures of my feet. Aphrodite told me to open a cupcake business. Like there's, if you ever feel like, what am I talking about? This is the mindset shift that helps me. There's a revolution going on of pushback against the like logic mind, because logic, there is an absolute place for it, but I think our Western society has like started to out logic itself to the fact that like we need balance. There's a lot of and I think that if you're here you would definitely agree with that, like we need balance. We need more intuition, we need more creativity, we need more things that don't make sense. We need to express ourselves through other things rather than just like things that are cut and dry. I actually had a mentor once say that if you are still not like getting behind the things that you can't see because you can't see them, like you're going to have a harder time. When we see the world before our eyes is more real than our internal world, that is a struggle. That can start to create depression, in my opinion. As I mentioned before, we cannot access all of our needs through logic alone. And the analogy I have for this is that when we were babies, we could not give ourselves our earthly needs. You were a baby, all you knew to do was be alive and be adored. And I still believe that now that you're older, that is your right to be alive and be adored. But we are able to feed ourselves, go out and about and have the things that we need to survive. But if you're here, I also believe that you agree with me when I say like that's not enough, or it doesn't have to be enough. There gets to be so much more. And at the end of the day, I have a degree in psychology, and my degree in psychology is a bachelor's of science. So I was told throughout my whole my whole career in university, and I wanted to go on and get a PhD in research or go become a doctor or maybe a psychiatrist was my route. And for the longest time, I was probably one of the biggest perpetrators of this. Like I didn't believe in things that you couldn't see. All I really could get behind was like hard facts and science and data. Like when people make emotional claims, and from a psychological perspective, the psychology that I was doing was like, well, what's the data? Like, what did the researcher see? What did you report on paper? And so this is like massive for me. The fact that this is now my job and now what I love to do. At the end of the day, a symbol in your brain, like that's why we have dreams. Like symbols help shift our psychology. So even if at the end of the day, you know what, like I'm just going to make an experiment where I have this symbol in my brain of a goddess of love who there is lots of stories, Greek mythology, Greek and Roman mythology. Those stories are symbols, like stories in the Bible. Like people can see them literally, or people see them as like, they're just symbols. Like fairy tales can be like to teach a lesson. And I think that there's a power to that. And that's very strong. Okay, we're gonna tap in. This photo is actually of one of my former clients, Kimberly. I love her. And I asked her if I could use this photo of her because I thought it was so good. So we are actually going to close our eyes for just a moment. You can keep your camera on or off. Take a deep breath. Just go ahead and close your eyes. Start to notice any peripheral sounds that are around you. Start to pick up any smells of the room. If your feet are flat on the ground, which I like to do when I take a moment of stillness, I like to tap back into what's real, what's me, what's not charts and data, what's me, what's here. Everything that I feel and see is real. I believe myself. So with your feet flat on the ground, if you can just envision pink roots from the bottom of your feet, connected to the earth, grounded in truth, grounded in the resources that you need. Even if you were to get up and go get a drink of water, go get in your car, put on high heels, flip flops, go to the beach, whatever you do for the rest of your life, you are still connected. You're still grounded through those pink roots. And as you continue to breathe, and the more that you exhale, this door at the top of your head opens. And this door at the top of your head is receptive and it's bright. There's a bright light inside. And the more that you keep this door open whenever you want to, whenever you choose, the more your bright light shines and you remain connected. And now that this bright light is open and you keep breathing, inhale in, hold it for just a second, and then exhale. However feels normal and natural to you, as long as you're paying attention to yourself, first and foremost. Above all things, honor yourself. As this door is open and as you're connected to the bottom of your feet, you start to notice that the air around you is a beautiful, beautiful soft color, whatever color that is for you. I like pink, I like iridescent, sparkly, white, yellow, whatever. And as you continue to breathe, that is signaling to your mind and your body and your aura that the door is open and the roots are planted. And you're starting to notice that there is magic in the air around you. Whatever this color is, this color represents magic and energy. Whenever you feel like you need more energy, there is energy in the air around you. There is magic, there is possibility. There is this color that represents this energy, this pure energy that is rooted in love, strength, potential, protectiveness. This is a strong force to be reckoned with, but it is very, very soft and sweet and loving, and it is made perfectly for you. And take a deep inhale, and as you continue to inhale and exhale, normally with every inhale, you notice that this air goes in through your nostrils, in through the top of your head, and as you exhale, a different color comes out, and that different color is any filtration of anything that's holding you back, anything that isn't yours. It's like this light, this color, this energy comes in through the body and it knows exactly where to go, knows exactly where in your lungs to sit, where exactly in your hands to be, in your pelvis, in your legs, in your thighs, in your brain, in your heart, in your throat. It just goes in, it knows exactly where to go because it was waiting for you to just open up. It's always there. There's no scarcity, there's no speed, there's no lack. It just knows exactly where to go in. And it crowds up anything that's not meant to be there. And as you exhale, a different color comes out. And this feels easy. This was so easy. All we did was close our eyes. And no matter what you do, those roots will always be planted, but now you can relax your feet. You can do whatever you want with your feet. The door at the top of your head is closed for your own protection. The air becomes soft, clear, and you feel buzzing and full of energy or relaxed. You take what you need. Maybe you feel a layer more relaxed, like someone just came up and put a heavy blanket around your shoulders, and you're like, oh, thank goodness. I was a little tense there for a second, but now I feel safe. Or, man, I was feeling a little groggy, holding on to something that was bothering me earlier, but now I feel purposeful, ready to go. And as you're here, give your hands and your feet any last wiggles that you need. Let your eyes flutter open. Easy breezy, no big deal. We just wanted to tap in here. Man, whenever I do that, I also just want to like give myself a little shake, big shake. Okay, so how do you get in touch with Aphrodite? It really is pretty simple. Follow your intuitive nudges. That's a huge statement. I remember the first time someone said that to me, I was like, what does that mean? Follow your intuitive nudges. I feel like I based my entire life on doing what I was taught to do. And so what does it mean for me to be within myself? Um, follow your intuitive nudges means it feels like a quiet voice from inside. It can't be traced back to any specific person's voice. And it is never urgent. Getting in touch with your own intuition is a very strong way to get grounded and open to working with other deities. I think the more you know yourself, the more that you can differentiate. Okay, this isn't my voice necessarily, but it's also not my mom's voice, and it's also not my teacher's voice. It's kind of like you have the capacity in your mind and spirit to text different friends. You know they're all going to tell you different things and help you with different things. This is the way that I see it. It's learning how to listen. Allow rational thoughts surrounding safety and tribe mentality to ease. It's like put that down for just a second. Like pour it in a cup, put that down just for a second. We can drink it later when we need to go back to work and we need to, listen to our boss or get along with our family. But for right now, just put that down. We'll come back to it. The thing about deities is that they are loving, the right ones that you want to work with. They are loving. They know you where you should be, and they know how to get to you. It's just like a friendship. I mean, people have asked me a lot, like, did I piss her off, or how come she's not responding to my my offering? And we'll get into offerings a little bit later. What do I do? I'm like, it's like a friendship. Like, it's like, show yourself. How would you want a friend to approach you? And if you ask someone when they were busy, like if you were like, hey, do you want to hang out with me? And they're like, sure, I literally don't know you though. Like, what's up? It is a practice. And I think there's a lot more happiness and empowerment that comes with that, to see it as a practice. Cool. Easy breezy. The best place to start is building an altar, making an offering, continue to live your life. That is like the answer that people want me to give them on TikTok. Is they're like, what is the best color for an offering? Like, what's the best color seashell? Or did I get the wrong mirror for my altar? Or what does this wax, you pour I'm not an expert in witchcraft offerings. That's something I'm learning about more. I actually have this book, The Good Witch's Guide, that I love and I refer to a lot. But the wax practice, like when you pour wax into a cup and you read that, I cannot read those. I do not know how. I'm not going to pretend like I know. But there's a lot of complication when it comes into the offerings and the rituals. It's kind of like if you want to hang out with somebody and there's a ton of overthinking on like, what appetizer should you order at this restaurant? Like, are they going to think this of me if I order that? And this is a normal human feeling. But if you're asking yourself, will I be judged if I order, like wontons, like over shrimp? It's probably not an aligned friendship or relationship. And I think with deities, it's like they'll always be there for you. Like, you can come back to it later. You can find a more come back to them from a more grounded place. I think this is not a substitute for it is personal development. That's like kind of the sneaky thing that I'm trying to teach you here, is like, it is personal development. It is being the person you want to be. It is being somebody who Aphrodite would want to hang out with. Like, that's kind of what it comes down at the end of the day, but not in this like judgmental, like, oh, she's not cool kind of way. But it is personal development at the end of the day. So if people are stuck asking themselves, like, what offering should I make? I'm like, well, what offering do you want? What would you want? Champagne? Do that. Okay, so this right here, quick Google search on Pinterest and TikTok, Aphrodite altar. There is so much inspiration that I did not even want to bother with teaching you how to set up an altar. At the end of the day, my biggest thing for Aphrodite altars is, what do you want in your house? And if you are working on the values of love, beauty, fertility, and war, can you make a dedicated space to that? To signal to your subconscious mind, your energy field, that this is important to you. And that, like, every day when I walk past my altar, every day I'm reminded that that is a value that I am working to have in balance. There's a lot of people saying on TikTok that you shouldn't even post pictures of your altar because you don't, it's bad, and like your wishes won't come true, is what I saw a lot of people say. Um, to that, I will say that the I have never heard that personally in my work with Aphrodite, but what it comes down to is what is the reason that you're doing it? Like, what is the reason that you're posting something on TikTok? Is it for likes? Because that is like, there's a shadow side to vanity, which I have actually gotten in a lot of, I've gotten kind of burned by before. Is like, I'm like, ooh, love and beauty, like I'm gonna go do whatever selfish desire I want, and then I keep learning, like, the blessings start to slow down and I stop feeling as inspired the more that I divert, like I indulge in selfish gain. So many examples that I can think of, but like, if you make an Aphrodite altar for TikTok for the purpose of likes, and only you know your heart to do this, like only you know, you can't tell if someone else is doing that, you're going to notice that it's going to feel different. Like, it's just going to feel different versus like pursuing a love interest because you think they're going to give you something that you have never been able to give yourself. It's going to feel different at the end of the day. So, a little ritual you can practice tonight, anytime, anywhere. No need of products, like I mentioned. Like, I do like to keep my witchcraft very product friendly. Like, don't go out and buy a lot of things. And I know that there's another greater world out there to experience when you do get into the specifics. For me, I'm pretty simple. Like, for the longest time in my life, being told that I needed to go buy something in order to achieve or feel something was very triggering to me growing up. My mom was really big on that. Like, if I ever said like, "Mom, I need these new shoes," she would like grill me and be like, "You don't need them." And I was panicked because I was like, "I'm gonna get made fun of if I don't have them." Because again, I was bullied growing up, and if I ever felt like, I also went to school with like some of the richest people ever, and if I had knockoff Converse from Payless, I would get roasted. But if I had like the name brand shoes, I was safe. And this practice with Aphrodite has forced me to look at that and rethink that. So I threw a little practice in here that you can do with the things you probably already own in your house. And we are all grateful to be able to have access to clean running water, bath products. Holy moly. Okay, so there's a self-love shower or the abundance bath. When I was 2020, it was a very stressful year. I lived at my parents' house and they had a huge bathtub in their room. I took a bath in that thing every freaking day. And if I didn't have Epsom salts, if I didn't have any type of oil or whatever, I would literally just like sit in my tub and pray and just like say nice things to myself, like over and over and over and over again. The abundance bath is essentially like, you can say like put rose petals in there. I mean, rose petals are really awesome. So like, if you ever have roses from a leftover event, like I have taken them and dried them or like kept them. Like, I'm all about being shisty, not stealing things, but like being crafty, DIYing, going out there and like speaking positive things over your bathtub. And I mean, we all know that water has feelings, right? Like, go into your bath and speaking positive thoughts over the water, saying thank you to the things that you're pouring into it. That is just going to make you a happier person, like, period. Ever since I've been doing this practice, I just feel at the end of the day, like, even if someone were to tell me like that doesn't work because XYZ psychology reason, I'm like, but I'm happier. So but at the end of the day, like, I have been doing this work long enough to say, like, I don't need to prove anything. You never need to prove anything to anybody. And things do not need to be seen in order for them to be real. Like, that is the bottom line. I co-sign that statement. Things do not need to be seen in order for them to be real. So the visualizing the pink light, when you were visualizing the beautiful light that you were inhaling, I also like to envision that light going into my products. And then I'm now putting that product on my body. I didn't realize until when I was in fifth grade, I lived in Las Vegas in the stinking desert. And every day, I would get a bottle of lotion and put it all over my body every day. A whole bottle, not a whole bottle of lotion, but I put lotion all over my body. And my mom and my sisters thought it was really weird. They thought it was really wasteful. They're like, what's going to evaporate anyway? blah, 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 all these like monkey chatter thoughts in my head about how it wasn't good enough, how what I was doing was weird. But every day I did that. And in retrospect, I know that that was just like a little like intuitive command from Aphrodite to just like honor myself every single day, no matter what somebody said at school to me that day, no matter how I felt about the shorts I was wearing. Every day I would cover myself head to toe with lotion. And it would always be like Bath and Body Works or whatever I would steal from my mom's closet, or hotel lotion, whatever. And now I'm a lot more intentional about the stuff that I put in my body. Um, but that like just an abundance bath. Aphrodite also, of course, rules the sea. And so like water to me is just like I don't fuck with water. I mean, I don't fuck around with water. Like I really see water as just like a holy thing. Especially since I like don't live near a beach. I think the nearest beach would be like 2 hours away. Which is, pretty good. But still, um, and I don't get to travel as much as I often get to. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people will say like, if you want to have a connection with Aphrodite, you need to go to the beach, is what I've seen a lot of people say. Oh, you need to go to the ocean and you need to, and to me, I'm like, how can we dollar store this? Like, how can we make this so simple? And the answer is, if you are a DIYer, you will find that the blessing that you have when you have less, like you can't just like afford to go to Greece and have like a experience like the influencers do that you see, or you can't afford to buy like this potion that like this ad, like you see this ad on TikTok that's like this thing will make you have a higher vibration. I don't know what kind of ads you guys get, but to me, I remember being like broke as a joke in 2020, living at my parents' house and getting all these ads for like, this is going to increase your vibration or what have you. And feeling like, oh my God, I can't afford that. Like, how am I going to raise my vibration? And at the end of the day, the personal work, personal development is what raises your vibration. Like, there's no way you can skip that. There's no like way that you can just like pass over that. And I'm pretty certain that the Bible verse that everybody keeps throwing around, like it is harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. I think that that's what it was talking about. Like if you think you can just like buy virtue, this practice will just humble you. And I believe that when you're in that place of like unfuckable with like dollar store like abundance rituals, you are so powerful. I co-sign believe that. I mean, I've been a crafty girl for most of my life, and that's what I've learned. Also, just for kind of time check references, I wanted this to be an hour. I'm not going to rush through it. I'm going to go through the whole thing and record it. I don't want to skip over anything because there's a lot of material. But if you have to go, I just wanted to kind of let that like don't apologize, don't even worry about it. But I just kind of wanted to say like I am considerate of your time. I'm going to keep the ball moving, but I'm not going to just like rush through some juicy parts just because I'm embarrassed of going over time. Just wanted to throw that out there. A great place to also start is that if you know your astrology chart, which I am a firm believer that everybody should. I'm a huge astrology fan. I, again, degree in psychology. I've done all the personality tests. I've done all of the like BF Skinners, Pavlovian conditioning squares, and all that kind of stuff. Astrology just gets it. I think that astrology is just like what connects us to each other. It connects us to something higher. It connects us to nature. And it just has all the answers right there, man. Like, so a great place for you to start if you don't know where to like really start integrating these Aphrodite practices in your life. Looking at your Venus sign, what sign your Venus is in. And after you think of it, if you go on, if you want to, throw in your Venus sign in the chat, and I can like think of just something you could do this week as it pertains to like an Aphrodite ritual or a way of integrating these values in your life. Also, if you have a lot of Venus ruled placements, those are a really good place to start. Like your job is basically to be beautiful if you are a Venus person. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the values. The values of Aphrodite, what she rules. It's also worth mentioning that I feel like TikTok, Pinterest, Google could teach you how to build the best altar, what kind of seashells to put on for, there's a lot of information out there. And what I'm focusing on in this workshop is the teachings, like the stuff that like ChatGPT could not just write about for me. Like nobody can do this for me. you can go to Google and learn about the history and all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's really cool. The Greek mythology is really, really important. Um, I just could not fit all of it into one workshop without being here for 7 hours. So I wanted to do the best I could with working on the values, especially the things that I like actually work with clients on. The things that people come to me for, the things that like I am irreplaceable in my humble opinion. And the things like I have embodied, the things that I have lived in. So that's like why I'm telling a lot of personal stories and giving personal practices rather than like some other people will probably focus more on like the Greek stories and the other deities and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is me. Beauty. The reason that I included these two pictures of myself, one, I got another dollar store boudoir shoot. I took that picture of myself just because I was feeling gross and bad that day. And I was like, you know what? I deserve to put on what I could find in my closet and just like snap an iPhone picture. I am a little cringy on the inside for showing you these pictures, but it's just to prove like tangibly, like life is art and the things that you make out of your pain are art. So the things that you feel on the inside, like I feel compelled to take a DIY boudoir photo. That is art. And that comes from something that means something. And so if I ever feel like, oh darn, I don't have enough money or I don't know anybody, I don't have the time, like get your iPhone, girl, just do it. And then over here on the left, my hair fell out in 2019. I was really stressed, deep adrenaline fatigue. I shaved my head because I was going to make art out of it. So in that first sentence right here, see yourself as artwork. Let yourself be visible, be grounded enough in your beauty to experiment. Not that you need to shake your head, that you need to take risque photos with your iPhone. Like you can do whatever you want. That's the whole point. It's like you can do whatever you want and be grounded that you are beautiful no matter what. I can't tell you the number of people who said when I shaved my head, oh my gosh, I could never pull off a shaved head. It's like at a certain point, to me, I was like, I'm gonna have to just pull it off because my hair was falling out. I literally had no choice. So I did a lot of experimenting with like funky glasses, big earrings, like all these kinds of things because I needed that. That taught me so much of being grounded in my beauty. Even when I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, I look like Sonic the Hedgehog, I transmuted that into who I am today. Like nobody can take my beauty away from me, like not a single thing. And I feel like I'm going to age beautifully. And I feel like so many of the people that I've worked with and those who are Aphrodite devotees from the inside are going to age beautifully. Like you, how can you not, right? That ugliness just leaves you and is replaced with something so much more graceful. Throw away old products. If there's, I do this all the time. If there's something in your makeup counter that just does not resonate, like you don't know why you bought it, we bought it in a moment of scarcity, in a moment of like, I need this. Like, I want to empower you. You make the decision at the end of the day. You're the one who's physically do it, but I want to empower you to just throw it away. And I say that because makeup can't always be donated. You know, I'm obviously like a donate it to someone who needs it or give it to a friend or something, but like I want to empower you to make the decision to just get rid of it. You're not going to be worse off without it. The money that you spent will come back. I mean, that's something I believe. Like, I'm not saying make a habit of it, but if you're making a habit of buying things in moments of scarcity and feeling ugly or feeling less than, notice your spending trends, right? Like, did I buy this in a state of empowerment, or did I buy this because I was trying to keep up with something? And that's work that we need to always do. It's not a set it and forget it like a crock pot. Like I did one cleaning of my shelf and now I'm good. I'm enlightened. Like it is work that we need to be consistently doing because the ads out there are only getting more and more aggressive. They're going to be telling us for the rest of our lives that we're not good enough, we're not beautiful enough. We cannot make the decision on how to be beautiful. And this work is just, it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run, to put it that way. What is one thing that you can do to push the envelope in your beauty? Meaning, if you feel like you would have been one of those people who came up to me and said, oh my God, I could have never rocked a shaved head. Like you're totally pulling it off. I could never. I would ask you, like, why did you tell me that? Like, what compelled you to walk over here and tell me that you couldn't do that? Because now when you tell me you can't do that, now I'm starting to think that you can. Allow yourself to feel sexy and feminism as you go about your day. Detach from personal gain, because that's a way to keep it pure, to keep your relationship strong and pure. Detaching your relationship from like financial gain, like this guy's gonna buy me drinks, and that can be fun, but also it's just like there's an icky feeling to me. I say this with tons of experience. Gosh, I didn't think I'd be telling you guys this, but I say with like the deepest experience that I was somebody in 2020 who sold photos on OnlyFans. And I'm telling you that because that was the biggest lesson in don't do this for gain. This is a pure relationship for you. And I'm not saying that if you are a sex worker, that was not in alignment for me. I am not born to be a sex worker. That was not a pure relationship for me. It showed me so much in deeply embedded shame and a lot of work that needed to be done. And I could tell that my like connection with Aphrodite got very weak and spotty, and I felt so much less supported. I felt very alone, and not in this like I'm gonna ditch you because you didn't listen to me kind of way. But I felt like a lot more isolated because I was so much more shrouded by my own negativity. Um, that is not like again like not an anti-sex worker statement by any means. It was I was stepping into something for personal gain, and I was sacrificing so much that I didn't even want to do it. I just thought that I would make money because I thought I needed money because I felt ashamed for living in my parents' house. That is very personal. So thank you for listening to me about that. But I felt a nudge of like, you need to tell that story. So thank you. Um, or expectation of harm, right? Like your relationship, I've had to revisit I've had to revisit the conversation of like feeling not being able to be pretty because I feel unsafe a lot in my life. Because that's something that I was taught a lot growing up. Like, don't wear a dress out at night because then you'll become a victim. Don't wear makeup because you'll be a target, all that kind of stuff. I have had to revisit that conversation over and over and over again and develop more intimacy with myself. Um, love, right? The goddess of love. Challenge your outdated beliefs about visibility. I mean, this is beyond like romantic partnership. Like a lot of people want to get into Aphrodite work because they want to manifest a partner. They want a husband. They want love. They want to feel good about themselves. The first thing I see is like, what is your relationship to visibility? And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Find your edge in your sexual practice. I'm not a sexpert, but I will tell you, like, you know what that feels like. Just know that you deserve probably more than you're giving yourself or letting others give you. Or you I want to challenge the scope that you see that through. Have the tough talks in your relationships. That is that is love. Tough talks in your relationships, that is love. Being protective of people, caring about the direction your relationship goes in, that is love. Romanticize the mundane, man. I mean, again, if you resonate with what I was saying before about like, oh, I can't afford this thing, or like all the cool girls are doing this and I can't afford that. Like, it's time to romanticize the mundane. You know what I mean? It's time to DIY. It's time to see what you have as the most beautiful thing you've ever had in your life. And this is not like, don't ask for more and be appreciative. It's romanticize the mundane and hold space for more. And I think that is like, that's not a like anti goal setting manifestation statement. I think it's even a pro, like gratitude. Um, I think that is really the crux of it. I actually started a Facebook group. Nobody's in it because I haven't added anybody, but I really want to start a Facebook group where people are romanticizing like their daily cup of coffee or their little walk to the drugstore to get snacks, or like just the littlest things that people are like, I took a picture of my hotel coffee and I'm putting a pretty filter on it. Like that is fuel to me. And I know that that's fuel to Aphrodite as well. Like that is an offering to her. Some people say like, what's an offering I can make to Aphrodite? I'm like, take a selfie right now and be like, nice, I'm gorgeous. Like no matter what, like take us, like go like make a cup of tea and be like, nice. Like that is an offering in my humble opinion. Like go wear sexy underpants, like something that is the strongest offering that I can make. Of course, there's anointing oils and there's flowers and there's all these things. And I am so sad for the people who are like so caught up in that it's really just like, look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, nice. That's it. War. Okay, I'm gonna keep this one simple. So as I mentioned, I was cast at the last minute in a play to play Aphrodite. And the director really wanted me to put this, I'm gonna spare you the whole story, but just put Persephone in a chokehold. She was resisting falling in love, and so Aphrodite had to put her in a chokehold and say, there is nothing you can do. You cannot close your heart. Like, you are going to fall in love if I have anything to say about it. That's what's going on in this scene. Like, she was resisting love, resisting her heart being open, resisting like fearing intimacy, fearing relationships. And I was saying like, no can do'sville, baby. Like you're gonna feel love. You cannot run away from it. I don't remember the exact lines. It was over 10 years ago. But I remember in that playing that role, a side of myself came out that really believed in what I was saying. My director barely spoke English. This was in Colombia. And I remember getting made fun of a lot during this performance. Like a lot of people like in the aisles were like snickering at me. I remember that so clearly, but I remember not giving a fuck for the first time in my life. I was like, I feel so embodied by what I'm saying, that like love will really heal us. And that is like war. Like that is war, that protectiveness. Visualize yourself as a young child and activate your protective instincts. Like, just like sit back for a second. If you have any facial expression, just like drop it. That to me is like step one. Like, let go of any masking of emotion or needing to hold a certain facial expression. Lean your energy back and envision a puppy or a kitten or a baby or yourself as a child, and just feel your protective instincts come up. Like, I want to fight. Like, it's just like immediately I'm like, I feel protective. I feel like I would choke someone out who would hurt that sweet puppy child baby. Take action to protect yourself, always being right. If you were like very raised to be logic minded, like I was growing up, you might have a hard time speaking up because you don't know all the facts, right? Like you don't know what you're talking about. There comes a time when you do this work in balance, to take action, even if it means that you're not right. I remember this one time, this is a really silly example, but this one time, my husband thought that this guy was trying to cut us in line at the airport, and it was like in customs, basically. So like those lines are not to be fucked with. Like they're really stressful, and you're gonna miss your flight. And my husband thought that this guy was trying to cut us in line. I mean, he sure was acting like it. And he said something to him, and he was like, "I was just standing over here." He had some excuse, and Evan was like, my husband was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And then like that was over. But the fact that he did something, he said something, it made me think like, I don't know if I would have done that. Like I probably would have like awkwardly just let this guy cut me in a tense situation. There's so much more to be said about all those things. Man, I feel like I've been talking forever, but at the same time, like we are wrapping up though. So if you're in a hurry, do not worry, do not fret. All right, this is where it gets real. My movement with Aphrodite requires movement. I need you to do a little something with me first, and then we're gonna do a little something else. First, you can turn your camera off for this, but what essentially we're gonna do is you're gonna get your hands, do duck mouth, and you're put that in your belly button. And what we're going to do is you're going to feel a deeper connection with your core, which I believe creates a deeper connection to your body, which makes this whole movement thing so much easier. So take your duck mouth, or you can also just like do your fingers. We're not gonna be like, you know, not getting nasty, so don't worry. I don't think any of you are shy, but okay, put your duck mouth in your belly button. Take an exhale and soften your belly. You also can just like put your hand on your belly, whatever feels good for you. It's your body, it's your hand. Soften your belly. And then sit up and engage your core and like pinch your duck mouth inside of your belly button so that you can feel the inside of your belly button. And now from here, maybe I should demonstrate this. Okay. From here, here's my tummy, guys. From here, you're going to spiral your rib cage like that. Because the whole point of this is to feel like actually have a tactile experience with your body, which most people are a little too afraid to have. So you're holding your stomach, or like feel the muscle fibers in your abs. I want to see if I can check on the comments. I don't know if you guys left any comments. Okay. Wow, so many comments. That's a personal choice. I wish I knew. What do you remember, Freya, what you were saying? I grew up LDS too. Oh my gosh, I didn't see these.
Yes, about whether you post your altar online or not.
That personal choice.
I've been in witchcraft a long time, and that's like, don't police people's photos.
Right. Yeah. I've actually gotten that comment myself, and I've seen it on other people's, and I was like, I've literally never heard that. I love looking at those pictures of you. Thank you. I can't even imagine you like this. Thank you. Taurus Venus. Yeah, Jackie, you do a great job of like romanticizing your Taurus Venus. Wow, Jordan, Taurus, Libra, like, come on, you're in the right place. This is amazing. That's so cool. I would for sure say something. Yeah, good. Good. Libra moon. Oh, nice. Okay. Like just having that tactile experience of putting your fingers, even something I like to do too is like put my fingers like right here and like pinch them and then like belly dance a little bit. And it's gonna feel awkward. That is your next up level. Like that, getting that down and doing that and asking yourself and your body, like, what do I need? Um, there's a book, I can't remember the author's name. There's a book called Pussy, and it is about talking to your pussy. Like it's about asking her what she needs. And I love that. I would even start, if that feels like you don't resonate with just like jumping down there, I would start with the sacral chakra. Like, what does my sacral chakra need? So I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna give all of us 3 minutes. Turn off your camera or spicy, but you're gonna get up and you're gonna move around. I'm gonna play music. You're gonna get up and you're gonna dance for 3 minutes before we can even finish this. 3 minutes, no big deal. I'm gonna start the clock, and let's see, what kind of song should I play? Hell yeah. Thanks for you. I hope this doesn't sound like shit. Does that sound okay? Ah, you can't hear it. Okay. All right. Well, okay. This is what we're gonna do. I'm so sorry. I'm going to drop my Aphrodite playlist in the chat, and I'm just going to trust that you guys are dancing. I'm going to give you, it's the noise canceling that Zoom does. Yeah, it is actually. And I can set up Zoom to be like to play music. But that would be a lot of clicking, and I just don't want to do that. I definitely want to be with you guys right now. So I'm going to drop a playlist that I made called Ode to Aphrodite in this chat. And then I'm going to just, like, whatever you're doing, get up right now and literally just like go shake, like go wobble it out, go dance it out. But you don't have to listen to my playlist, but literally just like give yourself a minute, no matter what you're doing. Because the next phase of this is going to be like we can't just keep talking all day. Like you need to be able to get in touch with your body. Okay, about 1 minute left. I hope you're shaking that thing. If you follow me on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. Like literally shake your butt. It's so good for your root chakra. And wrap that thing up. Give yourself another minute. Should have put couple. It's fine. It's beautiful. It's exactly what it needed to be. Okay, wherever you are, meet me back here. As long as you got your wiggle time, your enrichment time, that's all that I care about. Does anybody want to share what they did? Oh, hey, Jackie. What they did or what they felt or what they moved to or what music they played? Can you unmute? You can unmute yourselves, right? I don't know if I need to unmute somebody. You guys are so cute.
I just played I just played the first song on the playlist, and I was just shaking it. I honestly didn't stand up. I just like I'm on my bed. So I just kind of like twerked on my bed. It felt really good, honestly.
That's
It felt
powerful.
good. Especially after sitting for like a while. I was kind of reclining, but like after sitting, it felt really good in my hips.
Your hips, man. I am sitting on a normal chair like a normal person, and I oftentimes like I like to just like sit with my hips being open, because then I'm able to hear my intuition a lot stronger. That's just something I believe in. And if you ever feel like, I can't sit still, like shame, shame, shame. I can't sit still, blah, blah, blah. Like this, it's because we're not meant to, like, we're meant to listen to our bodies and bodies and, man, man. Yeah. Does anybody else want to go? No pressure. We're doing so good on time. I thought that we'd
I'll
be,
share.
oh, please, Fran.
Um, I've carried so much trauma in my hips, and like for the past year, I've had like a hard time walking sometimes. That's how bad it's been. And anytime that I'm forced to like get up and dance and move, I feel like a little unlocking, a little releasing. And it reminds me that I should be prioritizing play more than I am in my very serious life. And I'm just grateful for that reminder.
Yeah. Do you want to set it? I used to set a timer every day, and then of course life got in the way. But also, it's worth mentioning real quick that in these pictures, I just threw these pictures up because I'm doing yoga, and like almost all these pictures, don't like force yourself into a pose. Like you just said, get up and dance. And so the visuals are arbitrary. Like that's not because I'm like subconsciously telling you to go do yoga. Like yoga is amazing, and it is designed for spiritual enlightenment. And groundedness, but I do want to say like dancing, jumping up and down, like any of that is really, really, really real. Cool. Anyone? We'll do one more person if anybody else wants to go. No pressure. I'm just happy you're here. Cool. All right, we can move on. NBD. Thanks for shaking that thing. It energizes me, the collective. Okay. So connecting with Aphrodite means trusting your inner voice. It is a relationship. It takes murkiness. It takes maybe some time, some periods of like, there needs to be that trust. In the same way that when you're developing a relationship with another person, there needs to be that trust that just because they didn't text you back immediately that it's over. It's the same thing, same energy. Again, it's personal development. Trusting your inner voice. There is going to be a time if you ever ask yourself, like do an experiment. If you're asking yourself over and over and over again, like, was that actually like, am I, go back to slide 3 or whatever and be like, yeah, go with it. Do an experiment and act like this is all real and everything is unfolding for you. You cannot do it wrong. And it's like, you're guided, you're protected. Like Aphrodite's on your side. She's so protective. Like you're good. I made a TikTok on this the other day, but I will say it again. I have noticed a lot more boldness and bravery in my actions and my decision making, believing that as long as I'm choosing the decisions that are keeping me on this path and getting me in deeper in this path, I am protected. Like the more bold I go in my lifestyle choices, the less I care about someone mean on the internet or what my high school bullies thought of me. And actually just over this weekend, I got a little bit like re-triggered in my past. Just as kind of like a gentle presenting of like, you are going to be teaching people how to be their boldest, bravest self. I'm going to show you this former evidence of like, I just had this memories come back, these really painful childhood memories, to test my neutrality, to test my faith despite the past. And are you ready to tell a new story? And given with the Gemini new moon, like this is a great time to tell yourself a new story and to take action on that new story. Taking action can be standing up and dancing. It can be leaning into a new creative venture that you want. It can be trusting, like building more intimate one-on-one relationships. Like action doesn't just mean like put pen to paper, go to work. Like it can be a lot of things. So the bottom line, really at the end of the day, is when working with Aphrodite, you must walk along with her. Embody those values, walk those values. What would you do if you knew that you were trusted and guided and loved and safe and everything was working out for you? Offerings are when people say like, what should I offer Aphrodite, right? They're opportunities to feel good. Like one time someone commented on TikTok once, and people have asked me this before, and I get really curious on why people are very hung up on like the deity themselves and whether or not they can get this wrong. Someone said like, oh, I heard that Aphrodite really likes offerings of champagne, but I also heard that it's not good to offer alcohol. What do you think? And the answer is like, do you want a glass of champagne? Have a glass of champagne. If you have a little to spare, pour one in a little glass and put it on your altar. Because to me, what that symbolizes is like putting a glass of champagne on your altar, and I've done that before. It is like a celebration of abundance. That like I have so much champagne, I can spare some and put it on my altar. Like I love chocolate so much that I want to put some on altar for Aphrodite because I have so much, and the more that I give, the more that it just comes back to me. Like that's the way that I see offerings. Um, you don't have to give her something that you don't want. Like poems, prayers are opportunities to speak kindly to yourself. You'll see a lot of talk on the internet or talk in the communities of poems and prayers, and those are opportunities to check in with your relationship to words and your relationship to the ways you speak and your relationship to be more in alignment with the words you say. Do you take action on the words you say, or is everything, you know, a wish? And there's something beautiful about wishes. So like if you like write a poem, man, like if you have a feeling like that's a really good way to engage the deity, is like sharing poetry. Deity worship is an excuse to allow something greater than yourself to help you feel more fulfilled. Like at the end of the day, is it going to make you happy, or are you stressing yourself out about running to the store and buying roses and know the pink one's good? Like, let it go. You know, be more receptive, have more fun. Like, so we got another DIY boudoir photo I took of myself in my lingerie here at my mom's house. Because there is so much more out there for you. Like there is so much in this present moment, and there is so much more out there beyond. Obviously Aphrodite is pro manifestation. I think that the principles of manifestation really do come down to like love and beauty. That's like gratitude and abundance mindset in your relationships. Fertility is like acting as if everything is going to work out for you and cultivating that what's the word, like the incubator, like the cultivation of the incubator. When you try something new, when you're going out on a limb, when you're embodying a new version of yourself, when you're taking risks, like there is that fertility or that incubator period, like the newborn stage of this new era of your life. Like the same way that my newborn baby, he needed 24/7 care and consideration, and I needed to set boundaries with my family around me. It's the same thing with your creative project. It's the same way with this new identity for yourself that you're forming. Money spent on stuff that you bought will come when you were, well, take a moment to grieve and say goodbye. Like if there was a former version of yourself, if you're shaming yourself, or if you're ever feeling like, oh, I was so hard on myself for this, or I bought all the stupid stuff I didn't need. Like I shared on Instagram the other day that I saved up a lot of money to get liposuction, and then once I realized like, oh, I shouldn't get liposuction because it's bad, I spent it on like, I don't know, other stuff. Like I'm a homeowner now, I'm a parent now, and I'm like, wish I had that money now. But in reality, like the money spent on stuff you bought when you were not feeling good about yourself, forgive yourself for that, and just hold the purest belief that it's not finite. It will find its way back to you when you do this work. Like you're not meant to live in like destitute, like you're not meant to live like a humble, destitute peasant life just because you're choosing a higher path for yourself. Like that stuff does recover. Forgive yourself for time and energy spent on those who weren't ready to see your light. Those people exist. Especially when I see a lot of people coming to Aphrodite worship and they want to heal, they want an ex to come back to them, or they want their boyfriend to say sorry. You know, really what you're doing here is giving that energy to yourself. And it's like really good relationships cannot help but be magnetized to you when you're in that space of letting go. And Lacey's moment with forgiveness, like I'm not telling you this to bring up old shit or to like hurt your feelings or trigger you. I mean, like triggering I think can be a positive thing. You're not absolutely meant to go through these strong feelings alone. This is like I said, I've done creativity coaching, I've done copywriting, I've done entrepreneur coaching, I've done so many things because really the bread and butter of what I love to do is talk about coaching. I love like teaching a workshop on Aphrodite worship felt like such a no-brainer with after everything that I've been through and after all the questions I've gotten on TikTok and all of like I would be coaching somebody on creativity or intimacy or a relationship or what have you. And really what I wanted was to talk about these themes packaged in this way. So I'm so grateful that I got this opportunity to go for this. And I know this is just the beginning. I have talked about finding your muse. And that is like works so well in tandem with this workshop about Aphrodite, because Aphrodite is amazing, but at the end of the day, what you're really looking for is your muse. And that's why I had this, awesome idea about the seashell bikini era. I love this. I loved this music video by Lady Gaga when she wrote the song Venus. To me, it just made me think of like your next carefree era, your next like emboldened, empowered era. Like Lady Gaga at that time in her life, I know was going through a lot of really hard things. She like broke her hip. Um, Outside of Lady Gaga, like she is